and gentlemen, we are back once again with collegiate Star League action. This time, both the casters are in the game.
Woo!
And here we go on Star Station for our second map. It's going to be in the lower right-hand corner once again from the team University of Washington, Salgood.
And spawning here in the top right position as our blue Terran player representing UC Irvine, it is going to be Polar. You know, Doom, I actually considered like not talking for another 10-15 seconds and making you think that I once again wasn't in the game.
Oh man, that would have been horrifying. My heart would have sunk to my stomach, but not the case.
It's okay. So we are on Star Station here. They're looking like they're in close air. No, actually not close air. I don't really know what you want to call these positions, just vertically across from each other.
I mean, from a rush perspective, it's a little bit closer than it would be if you were horizontal from your opponent. I think it's almost equal, though, just judging by the basic architecture of the map.
Yeah,
someone from Team Liquid to confirm that, though.
Yeah, I think that by far the closest positions you can be is close by air. So if Salgood was in the top left, for example, you're just so close to each other. So the dropping opportunities and all of that won't be as good, but at the same time, taking your expansions in these positions just a lot more viable. You can take that back base and cover it with the Zelnaga. It's not ideal, but you know, it gets the job done. Do see Polar grabbing a gas, so it looks like he is opening a Reaper, or that's what I'm gonna guess, because it's Star Station and Reapers have a lot of fun on this map, man.
Absolutely. There's plenty of opportunities to jump in. Of course, if Overlord is in the correct position, it can be well scouted. And I think a lot of players have been favoring the Reaper openings in like the early stages of Heart of the Swarm here, but I'm really seeing this reemergence of Hellbats come in and just dominate with everything, no matter what the matchup is. If it's Terran versus Protoss, or Terran versus Zerg, Hellbats are definitely favoring, but it is going to be Reaper, at least to start. And what you can do with this is essentially just try to pick off drones before the first queen comes out for the Zerg player.
Yeah, and I mean, the Reaper's just, on a map like this, it's just going to give you so much information, just because you have all of that room to jump into the main base. So, I mean, unless your queens are so actively, you know, trying to prevent the Reaper from getting in and getting information, you know, he's going to see what he wants to see. So, a very strong opener on this map in particular. And he is actually going to get a second Reaper. That was what I was most curious about. You know, of course, you can just get a factory and a command center if you stick on one gas, but he's going to commit to a couple of Reapers. So now, you know, he's going from saying I want information to I actually want to do some damage as well.
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting here to see what happens here. Polar actually needs to get a scout off on the fact that Salgood's taken a third base in the process of this. To him, it just looks like a normal opener from the Zerg's perspective. But I think if he recognizes, you know, early enough that there's maybe a little less drones that there should be out here, he may be able to see that they were used elsewhere. But this is actually a lot of lings in response here from Salgood to try to handle these Reapers.
Yeah, 4 so far, not crazy overcommittal, but you know, does get some out on the field. He is getting 2 queens as well. Third hatchery, and now that's the factory follow-up. So instead of just getting 1 Reaper, he does get 2. Now it's the factory with reactor follow-up, very classic. You know, with all this mineral buildup, you can even opt to throw down a 3rd command center, which is a very common build right now.
Absolutely.
But the thing is, on Star Station, though, I just feel like it's so much riskier just because of how wide open it is. But I think we are going to see it right about now.
Yeah, if he goes for about 6 Hellions, that'll probably be the transition there with the reactors. But of course, that 3rd command center does come down here. Chris, he's going to throw down the 2nd gas a little bit quick in regards to how he's progressing with this build here. It's going to be curious to see if he throws a tech lab eventually down on that barracks to get, say, STEM perhaps, and transition to bio, but...
There we go. So this is going to be interesting already. I'm going to predict just super blue flame commitment here coming up from Polar. Tech Lab on the racks, going to switch it over, pump out 3 Hellions at a time, and behind that he's going to get a 3-base economy rolling. Whether he transitions into mech after that is up for debate, but it would make sense to just sort of keep going with the mech and maybe get the Hellbat upgrade.
Absolutely. If you go for the two factory right off the bat, and you get that armory going and you get your upgrades in tune, you can definitely build up a stark advantage over the Zerg player here. And I really like what Polar's done here, moving over to the third base, attacking the drones consistently. I think this was a result of him seeing the fact that gas was canceled and transitioning over to the third base here. He's just wreaking havoc, making it completely ineffective.
I was like so fascinated by Polar's build. I was like, oh, so he's going the Blue Flame Hellion build, like, because I just started playing Terran a bit more recently, so I'm like extra curious. And then the Reapers are just doing so much damage that the game might just end. I mean, 4 kills and 2 kills, so they have definitely paid for themselves. Great job from Polar to utilize those Reapers. That third base has barely done anything for Salgood so far, but just now he's getting some drones there. We do see Hellions coming out 3 at a time. Blue Flame is now on the way, and he does have an armory, so of course he will be able to grab that upgrade on his Tech Lab factory to transform into those ever so badass Hellbats.
Ooh, absolutely. And he's got, going for that upgrade's kind of an interesting choice, though, because it's 150 minerals, 150 gas. Like, that's a pretty big investment to make, at least at the early stage. But a lot of Hellions moving in. Oh, not going to get the ro4 down here. Polar splitting them up. 4 in the natural, 3 moving into the main base. No Blue Flame research completed just yet, but drones are going to fall in both locations as they're clumping up. Oh man, the sweet shot here, both of them as they're going. The main does appear to be cleaned up in its entirety, and actually Polar isn't following through on the clumped up drones. Could have potentially done a lot more damage.
He could definitely have, but he's continuing to make Hellions. He's up to 17 workers killed, which is already a pretty sizable number, especially considering that Polar does have triple CC. Now Starport coming down. Polar is just looking solid right now, and he's going to be able to do more damage. He's in the third base right now, getting a couple more drones, it looks like. And now Blue Flame is done. This is getting a little bit scary. Salgood, if you look around at his defenses, they're still pretty bare right now. Just some Speedlings now coming out and going for what looks like could be a decent counterattack.
Yeah, this was great from a great opener from Polar. Going for those Reapers basically forced the Speedlings out in the field. But there is no wall up here for Polar. Salgood recognizes this. He can move in and do a lot of damage, but just be content to just kill the SCVs that are roaming around in the middle of the field. One Hellion's going to get one shot off, but that's definitely not going to be enough to clean this up. The Lings are now inside of the SCV mineral line.
Wow, I mean, good thing Salgood honestly did this, because if he hadn't, all of those Hellions would have come into the third base, would have maybe gone into the natural. Now the natural's actually entirely blocked off, it looks like. Of course, he can move that Spine Crawler, to give it some more freedom later on. But right now, he wants that on complete lockdown. But his third base is so vulnerable right now. Polar can just roll up with these Hellions and just sort of decimate it. And 3 more factories coming down in the production tab. So he's going full mech, man.
So this is very, very interesting here. Polar has forced out Lings initially, forcing out Roaches now in response to the mass Hellions. And behind this, going for those 3 factories, we're definitely going to see mass tanks of some nature coming out in the field. But the interesting thing is that Polar has spotted out the third base the entire time. He recognizes that what's going on there with how many drones are actually bringing minerals back to that hatchery, and he knows that he can pretty much buy a little time because there really aren't that many there. Salgood went for that third base so fast, but really hasn't reaped the benefits in terms of economy. Polar's economy is greater than Salgood's. In fact, significantly greater than Salgood's at this point.
Yeah, he's just been doing such a good job. I mean, 56 SEVs to 44 drones tells the story. Whenever he lands that third command center, it's going to be instant benefit. Actually sacking some SCVs by what I would have to assume is a mistake. It's too early to be doing, a technique like that. So a bit of a misrally, perhaps.
He's gonna have to use these Roaches defensively for sure. Is Salgood. He's got his +1/+1 done on them, and the Hellions are continuing to posture about. And here we go, Chris. They're moving back into the third base.
Oh, and drones are definitely going down right now. There are at least about 7 to 10 dead so far, and a huge line coming in. Oh man. Those drones didn't even get to touch minerals. They never even got a chance, man.
And this is definitely a result of those Roaches being out of position. It looked like Salgood wanted to go for some aggression in this case, but he certainly had to recognize that he was not in a position to do so. He had to go for the fourth base. This was a pretty nice move, but the Hellions have scouted this out. So I really like the presence on the map from Polar here. Although he went for that early third command center, though, he's not going to be able to place it down as the Overlords are spreading creep in both of the potential locations for it.
Yeah, something that Salgood really needs to do is make sure that Polar stays on these two bases for as long as humanly possible at this point. He knows he's behind, so he needs to do everything that he can to make sure that Polar doesn't just spring ahead in economy. And you know, Polar has invested into that infrastructure, so it's just time. You know, he just needs that gas, and once he has it, you know, mass amount of tanks, like you were saying, are going to be coming out. Already a decent number in the production tab and on the field. But once he establishes his third base, it's just going to be non-stop production. As you can see right now, Polar already starved for gas.
Yeah, and I'm a little worried for him in that regard, considering the fact that Salgood's going for the Spire. I mean, if he's able to get a bunch of Mutalisks out here, this could be devastating for Polar. In the main base, he has no turrets up just yet, and if he wanted to go for Thors, he's gonna need those fifth and sixth gases that he's trying to take right now.
Yeah, he does have an eBay down and one turret in his natural, but that is not going to be enough if he goes Mutalisk. Salgood's bank right now is not really going to get him more than about 8 Mutalisks at most, and you know that's skipping an upgrade. And he's actually throwing down a pretty quick infestation pit as well. So Salgood definitely, you know, trying to do some teching as well here. I'm kind of curious to see exactly what he wants to do. Maybe he's getting that infestation pit to grab that swarm host upgrade. Maybe he recognizes it's full mech and he wants to get some of those out on the field.
Yeah, I think swarm host would be a good choice in this decision, but I definitely would love to see him make some Mutalisks. I mean, he has 15 larvae available to him. I'm not sure if he's just waiting for more and more gas to do so, but
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I mean, if he looks at the unit composition, like you were saying, it looks very juicy to get some Mutalisks.
There's no anti-air.
There's no anti-air. It's just missile turrets, and they are going up right now. So, yeah, Salgood going for quick hive, man. He's basically saying no Mutalisks for me.
Yeah.
Not even getting the swarm hose upgrades, just going for quick hive, and this is kind of bizarre, I would say, because Polar's army is going to be maxed out relatively shortly, and it's going to be pretty fearsome. I mean, look at Polar's money, man. He has been doing a great job spending it. Yes, he was a little bit gas starved for a minute there, but
not the case
there you go, Mark.
So, I mean, one of the 13 Mutalisks are being built here, but I think it may just be a little bit too late in the game. You know, looking at the third base, it has the missile turrets established, and that's certainly going to be where Salgood initially goes to try to poke and prod at Polar. I really like that Polar's taking this fourth base in addition to, you know, going for that third as well here in this situation. He's actually adding on Thor, so he must have been able to scout this out. Yes, he did get the scan down and see the Spire.
And he's getting Widow Mines as well. I just love this play. I mean, Polar... He's going to be invincible to Mutalisks in just about a minute here. I mean, more turrets going down, Widow Mines, Thors. It's just going to be ridiculous. Here come the Mutalisks. They're going to try and do some damage on this fourth base of Polar before the turrets go up, and it looks like he will get some damage down. And look at all these tanks going over there to do nothing. They're just going to go help clean up the Lings just a bit here, but the Mutalisks, of course, are going to be pretty tough to deal with right now.
We see the big reveal here, Chris. Greater Spire is on the way. This makes a lot of sense considering the upgrades.
Widow Mines! Oh, God!
Oh, my goodness! They all survive, but...
Yeah, only killing... Checking the Widow Mines, it looks like they have 1 kill each. So, I mean, I think he got out with just 3 losses there, but he could have literally lost his entire flock with 1 more Widow Mine hit. And look at the balls on this guy. Oh no, he's gonna lose all of his Mutalisks if he's not careful. He does lose a few more there, but
you know,
Salgood, man, going straight up to that Greater Spire like you were saying, but
yeah, the regen's nice on the Mutas, and I guess he's just using them essentially just to posture on the map and try to do his best to delay Polish economy. Because looking back at Salgood's bases here, he's got 4 bases up. He's got 8 gases taken. His 5th just completed. I mean, from an economic standpoint, although Polar was able to do a lot of damage initially early on in the game, Salgood has really gotten his stride here. I mean, he's got a greater mineral income, a greater gas income than Polar, and it's just gonna be a matter of time before he's got enough larvae to really challenge this army. But Polar may have, you know, different plans here. 192 supply, posturing across the field, but simply not enough anti-air. And here come the Broodlords.
Yeah, 10. 10. That is a lot of Broodlords. Viking production. There is 1 in the tab. That's not going to be enough. This base is definitely going to go down here, but by the time it goes down, the Broodlords will be finished.
Yeah, and
the question is Salgood going to be able to close in on this army?
I think he will. The two Thors were just surrounded by Lings. The third Thor goes down as well. I mean, as the mass Lings are pushing forward, they're going to tank the Widowmine shots, and even if Widowmines were available to Polar in this situation, they're not going to one-shot Broodlords. It's going to take way more than that to deal with
Polar, man, he knows these tanks have a limited shelf life right now. They're just trying to kill as many things as he possibly can. Oh, man, and they all do go down, and, man, this game has done a complete 180 at this point. Salgood now in a really nice spot, but look at that production tab, a lot of Thors, and of course they do have that new high-impact payload mode. They can go hip, and you know, I haven't really seen that much of it, to be honest.
To be completely honest with you, it's great if you have mass Thors, but if you're sitting on only 4, 5, 6, when you have Ling support in addition to Broodlords, it's insanely tough to deal with them. I mean, mixing a couple Infestors here in a while, even going for this Ultralisk Cavern, I really like the decisions from Salgood here as the game is progressing. And, you know, if he's able to mix in, say, Swarm Host eventually, in this situation, Swarm Host, Broodlords, it's just going to be mass free units and mass problems for Polar. And as we see, more and more problems are coming up here for Polar in this game as he's trying to morph his Planetary Fortress. The Lings are focusing down, not even going to get a lift off on that.
And the Broodlords are now attacking this fourth base of Polar. And, you know, Polar was very close to establishing, you know, a super good economy, that on par with Salgood. But, you know, he threw away all his tanks. Yes, he took out a couple hatcheries of Salgood, but, I mean, now all of the economy of Polar is starting to go down the tubes. These Vikings are having free reign on the Broodlords, and this is pretty painful. This is a big issue right now.
Huge issue. There's no Corruptors on the field. I mean, he's got a couple of Mutalisks, 4 Mutalisks in his name, but, I mean, they're trying to take down the Vikings, but eventually these Vikings are just going to outdamage them. They've got +2 ship plating, too. It's a huge advantage in the air right now for Polar.
Yeah, this is pretty disgusting right now. I mean, I feel like these two guys just love trading and throwing away extremely expensive armies to each other. I mean, a huge, you know, massive tanks and Thors basically donated for 2 hatcheries, and then Salgood goes ahead and gets rid of 10 Broodlords. I mean, I feel like to a certain point, Salgood should have known that he had done enough damage and needed to get some Corruptors out on the field, because you know the Terran player is building Vikings. You know they're on the way.
Absolutely.
And it's just a surprise that Salgood was going to overcommit. But now Ultras and Lings over here are doing some attacking. A lot of Thors, actually, a pretty solid amount. And this army is looking pretty scary. These Ultras are not going to be enough here. Salgood having 6 more in production, though, and that may be enough.
You know, cleaning up the Lings is definitely going to benefit Polar in this situation, because the Lings are really going to be the counter to the Thors here. Sure, Ultralists do a lot of damage. Sure, they have a lot of HP, but with this high impact payload and this amount of Thors, they can definitely focus them down one by one very quickly, as you see this hatch just going down simply to 2 Thors and a handful of Hellions here. And the Vikings are rolling it down once again.
And here we go. Here come the Ultralists. They are going to start to... But I think that it might be too many Thors, actually. These Ultralists are going to melt right now. No Link support, like you were mentioning earlier.
Yes.
And the Thors are making pretty quick work. The Vikings even landing and going to take some damage as well. Very nice technique from Polar. Actually saves all of them as well. So now Polar's, you know, just cleaning up mass Ultralisks.
Yeah, that was crazy. The Viking landing reminds me of the Heart of the Swarm
review
video there.
But it actually worked in this case.
It's justified.
It actually worked, and more Ultras now going down. Salgood once again dipping down to a dangerously low supply. And not only that, his economy is in very serious danger right now. Gonna lose this hatchery, and the hatchery right above that one is really the one that's keeping him in this game at this point now. Yeah. And if he loses that, it's a very tough situation. But here come some of those Lings to tank that damage, but 1 Ultralist, 2 supplement here. It looks like he is doing a decent job here. Transfuses may go down on that Ultralist. There they go. And Salgood doing a good job finally cleaning out this army. And for now, he will stay alive.
For now, definitely a good start to trying to make a comeback here, but Polar has done all the right things behind this. Retaking his 4th base here with an orbital command. Although there were some Lings trying to posture up here, they've been cleaned up. He's massing Hellions once again to try to counter any type of Ling run buys, which is pretty much Salgood's primary composition at this point. And if he's got these Blue Flame Hellions available to him, drones stand no chance once again in this game to them. It could be the early stages all over again, and here we go.
Yeah,
Blue Flame Hellions posturing in.
Setting here. The Lings trying to get us around here, but just too many Hellions. They can't even close the gap. And the Ultralists are going to end up chasing them away. But here come the Thors to kind of support them, and the Thors should be enough to sort of take out these Ultralists. Salgood once again forced to back up. Nice transfuses going down. Salgood really needs to make every single unit count right now, but the Thors are proving to be a little bit too much, and this is starting to get Pretty rough.
So I get a little goopy on the map here. I'm not talking about the creep sprite. I'm talking about the blood and guts from these Ultralisks being dropped. 10 Thors on the field for Polar, absolutely destroying everything that is Zerg in this game. I mean, a couple of Corruptors have been built. Broodlords are coming back onto the field, but the upgrades are just, you know, even at 2-2 right now, these Thors just are doing so much damage and able to soak up so much damage in the process as well.
Yeah, I mean, these Thors are just frightening right now. We do see one Broodlord trying to morph in over here. It's not really going to make it. Ling's trying to do some damage, but now Thor Hellion at this point is going to be something that Salgood just cannot handle. Up until now, he's been utilizing Lings and Ultralisks. Lings to sort of, you know, do the surrounding on the Thors, but with some Hellion support, there's just absolutely no chance of that. And good game, Salgood's last mining base is about to be taken out.
All right, so that is going to be our second matchup here, and University of Washington has just allowed, you know, University of California Irvine back into it. It's 1-1.
That's right. It's all tied up, man. And, you know, I can't say I'm surprised. You see Irvine, a very strong school, and Polar, a very strong player. And, you know, he won his round of 8 match for UC Irvine, and now coming in here with such a dominating performance. A little bit rocky when he had to donate his entire army of tanks for a couple hatcheries, but he managed to bounce back and get the job done. So really well played. And when we come back, man, we're going to be hopping into that 2v2.
All right. I'm ready. I'm definitely ready. Guys, stay tuned. We'll be right back.